Moment Media, good afternoon. It's your boy DJ X-Man, and once again, I am talking with Miss Ashka from the Red Cord organization. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Glad to be back.
So, the last conversation that we had, we were discussing about human trafficking through the eyes of homeschooling.
Yes, yep.
So, I pulled up some information here, and what I was blown away about 771 active cases. We're just talking about in the state of Oklahoma.
Correct.
And 680 of those were criminal cases and 91 were civil cases. How do they vary between the two? What's federal and what's civil?
Well, I'm not a law expert, but it generally depends on the severity of the crimes, but also other crimes that are attached to it. So whether the person being trafficked as a child can change things, whether the person being trafficked as an adult can change, whether there's drugs involved, there's tax evasion, there's, a lot of other crimes usually are attached to human trafficking. Like I've said before, generally where you find drugs, you find trafficking. Where you find trafficking, you find, they just go hand in hand. So it just depends on the level of the crimes that are tied together, and that the age of the trafficking victims will constitute, whether it's a federal or civil or what kind of case. But a lot of times traffickers, because we get this question a lot, like, how come these traffickers aren't getting, life in prison or, really hard.
Exactly.
Hard, and it's getting better. It's getting better, and each state has their own laws. So, and this goes back to part of the reason why the Red Cord is here, is that if a trafficking case goes in front of a grand jury, in front of a jury, which are our community members, our peers, if those community members are not educated about what human trafficking is, they won't convict him as a trafficker, as a pimp.
Right.
Because the prosecutor, the defense will do a really great job of portraying the girl as his girlfriend, as, derogatory names, that she wanted it. She was doing it of her own free will. Because look at these texts, and look at how much she loves him, and look at this and look at that. And so
but
there's actual lawyers out there that are specifically designed to defend traffickers.
So, but in that sense though, don't the judge and the grand jury or the juror itself will see the pattern of sex trafficking though? I mean, like you were talking about the texting and things like that.
Right.
Now, they should kind of know whether she was influenced to texting that, or was she influenced into saying certain things to quote unquote get him off, or whatever the sort. So
right.
How does that pan
well,
out?
It depends on your prosecutor and your defender, your lawyers. How good are they? How up to date are they on human trafficking? Of the nature of the crime, the coercion, the force, the fraud that's involved in all of that.
Wow.
They have to prove, if you're over age 18, they have to prove at least one of those, force, fraud, or coercion, in order for it to be a trafficking case. So how do you prove that? How do you prove that if the girl's trauma bonded to her trafficker? How do you prove that if your girl is completely traumatized, where she doesn't want to get on the stand? She's in fear for her life.
Right.
We still have survivors today who have been out for 10, 12, 15 years that still will not talk to FBI or police about their trafficking situation, because they know their trafficker's still out there, and they know they can be found.
Shut up.
Yeah. So the fear that's instilled in, and I'm going to say girls, because there's more girls that are being trafficked than boys, but also men, is a level of fear that stays with them until they know their trafficker is either locked up for life or dead.
Wow.
It's something that always will linger with them in the back of their head.
So I'm also reading here, Oklahoma is ranked 4th in the nation in human sex trafficking.
Yeah, and that varies year to year. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4.
That's crazy. And they're saying, New York, California, and Texas.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because of what my mindset is thinking human sex trafficking. And I'm thinking bringing women from overseas to America. So I'm thinking California. I'm thinking highly of like Florida.
Yes.
Because coming from Havana, Cuba, coming across the border and stuff like that, that's the first place they would hit is like the Florida Panhandle or like the Miami region. But it's not even listed. Like Miami's not even there, but Oklahoma, we're sitting in the middle of, right here in the middle.
Right.
And we're the 4th largest.
Right. So a lot of people will say, and we hear this a lot, well, it's because we're the main hub of truck drivers, right? We have I-44, I-40, and I-35. So we've got truckers going through our state. But hold up. If we ripped up all the highways, would our trafficking situation go away?
I would say no.
You're correct. It would not. It has nothing to do with our roads, okay? Our roads aren't demanding illicit sex and cheap labor, right? The demand is. And so we need to stop people from demanding to have illegal sex and cheap labor in Oklahoma. We need to have tougher laws on them.
That's true.
Okay. We need to have a perfect example as well is, and I'm going to go down a little rabbit hole here because I was talking with someone about this yesterday, but massage therapy. Okay. Texas has a law that all massage therapists have to go through human trafficking training and education before they get a massage license in Texas.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So if you don't go through that training, if you don't prove that you know what human trafficking is, blah, 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 you don't get a massage license in Texas.
Interesting.
We don't have that law here. So I could pop up a massage parlor downtown Lawton tomorrow, go get a general business license, and basically set up a trafficking ring right there. Okay, so
shut the front door.
Right. So there's laws that we need to work on. But we can have all the laws in the world. Ultimately, it's a change in behavior within our culture.
Right.
Right. Stop watching pornography, which drives the demand for trafficking. Right.
Right.
We've talked about that before. Educate our kids.
Got to.
And we have to start instilling way, way harder penalties and laws for our buyers. Okay?
Right.
Buyers get off with a slap on the wrist.
Why is that, though? But and again, I know you were talking about they have, I guess, these high-paid lawyers and things like that, but come on now. The law has to, be a little bit, like you say, a little bit more stricter on the fines and penalties for these buyers.
Right.
Question, just out of theoretically, what's the average buy?
$90.
Are you serious?
Yes, $90. In fact, historically, back in the Atlantic slave day, of slave trade, slaves were bought and sold for more money then than they are today.
Are you serious?
Yeah. $90 is the average payment for a sexual act right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
So as if the act of being bought and sold for sex isn't bad enough.
Exactly.
It's only worth about $90. Yeah.
So it's just like $90 and then, okay. So how do we now I know we talked about this before. How do we identify a buyer? How do we identify a person that's trying to actually buy someone?
Well, unfortunately they don't have a mark on their forehead or anything, which would be great if they did.
Exactly.
Right. Our average buyer, statistically, is a white male between the ages of 25 and 65. He will make over $100,000 a year. He has a family, a wife, kids, and he's your everyday average Joe. a lot of people don't like it when I say that, especially when I have a room full of white men. Right?
That's making that, and they kind of look at each other like,
oh, is it me? Is it you?
me?
Right?
Is it me?
Right. So go back and even you can pull up, stuff on Facebook, arrest people who have been arrested that are buyers, people that are the traffickers. But every time I see a bust with buyers, it meets that statistic.
That criteria.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And not to say that there's not, I mean, obviously there's, it goes all across demographics and ages and all that, but statistically that's the demographic that we see as our common everyday buyer. So we've seen the school teachers, right? Get arrested.
I've actually seen the school. Now, yeah. I just recently watched a movie the other night on Lifetime. I forgot what the name of it was, but how women teachers are probing young athlete males.
Yes. Share pictures.
And things like that. Yeah. And she lured him into like leaving his little girlfriend that he had in school. Mm-hmm. And she basically wanted to keep him. Like, is this real?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely been arrests made and women in jail for preying on young men in high schools. They were teachers, counselors. And think about that from a man's point of view. You're a junior, senior in high school, and you've got an older, beautiful woman after you. What does that do to your ego?
Oh yeah, it would boost my ego up for real. But
right?
Again, and I asked it, and I really wanted to ask the question, like, okay, that does boost our little egos up, and
right. Yep.
We go around bragging, I got the teacher. Well, dude, do you not know what she is doing to you?
Well, you also have to remember that our frontal lobe isn't fully grown until we're 25.
Right.
So the frontal lobe helps us make good decisions, helps us understand reality.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're praying. The teachers pray, and we've seen it with male teachers as well. They prey on the younger ones who aren't. They're still figuring out emotions. They're high. They're low. They're figuring out how to make good decisions in life. We've got the ego into play, and then after that ego is being fed, then usually the force, fraud, or coercion will come in. And that's how they'll continue to keep them hooked.
Got it. Okay, so basically what you're saying is she kind of looks at him and says, okay, I'm looking at him. I'm kind of like checking out what he does. He's an athlete. He's this and that. I'm going to go to the games.
We're going to share. We're going to start texting, which every teacher knows. They go through training every year. You do not text students. Right. But it happens.
Right. Or he's getting a really good grade and knowing that he didn't really do anything.
Right.
And that's what I was seeing in the movie. And I was like, come on, dude, you don't see the signs?
Right.
But evidently he was like liking it or whatever the sort. And then she's listening to his promising dreams and it's like, I can help this dude, but can he help me?
Right. There's always a catch.
It's always a catch-22.
Always a
catch-22.
Yeah. And the catch isn't going to come right off first thing, right? It's a grooming process.
Right.
So they'll take as much time and spend as much money as they need to get that person under their control, right? So whether it's bribing with good grades so that you stay on the football team, and
that's what it was,
right?
That's what it was. He needed the good grades to get the scholarship to go to
right.
That's what it was.
Right. So she's going to help them out. They're going to become friends. They're going to become confidants. They're going to become, whether it's through text or Snapchat, however they're communicating.
Right.
At some point, she's going to expect, or he will expect something in return for that favor. Right? So, what animal abuse is? Would there be an outcry about that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Because we have plenty of animal lovers out there, right?
Right.
That fight for the rights of animals.
Exactly.
I get it. So why is it okay to put 11 and 12-year-olds through a movie that exploits them to make everyone aware how child exploitation is happening right now?
How come they couldn't do it through documentaries? How come we watch a bunch of documentaries, but, with actual facts and things like that. And
right.
I get
And there may
saying.
be some facts to this movie.
Right. But in a movie of entertainment,
right,
I don't get that.
Right. And all it's doing is breeding. It's continuing to normalize the whole child sex connection. Right. We have lawmakers in California right now that are trying to push pedophilia as a sexual orientation. They're trying to pass laws that say as long as there's not more than a 10 age gap, 10 years, so if a 20-year-old wants to have sex with a 10-year-old because he identifies as being attracted to minors, that's okay.
Oh, no.
Okay? So it's continuing to push the narrative of having sex with kids is no big deal. Exploiting kids is no big deal.
Well, it is.
Right? I would agree with you.
I mean, come on. Really? That's like the unnorm. Well, I can't even say that's the unnorm because you see it now these days.
Right. And here's the deal. The TVPA, the Trafficking in Humans Protection Act, that came out in 2000.
Uh-huh.
Children, anyone under the age of 18, cannot consent to sex. Okay? Cannot consent to sex with adults. Period. They don't have the brain to be able to do that. They don't have the maturity to be able to do it. They don't understand that. Now, people are going to say, well, I thought the consensual age of sex was 16 in Oklahoma. Yes. That's between a boyfriend and a girlfriend.
Right.
Okay? Not a 10-year-old to a 20-year-old.
Exactly.
Children cannot consent to sex. Period.
They can't. They can't.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't. So
to make a movie that continues to exploit children and have them dancing on stage like Beyonce, or any other person, adult that's out there that has the choice to do that on their own free will,
right,
whether we agree with it or not, is exploiting that child.
Okay, so let's take a look at like the dance schools.
Agreed.
Is that exploiting our children?
My daughter's in dance. She's in ballet. And I specifically vet any place that she's ever danced. I will vet them. Meaning, I want to know, what do their outfits look like? What are the moves? What is the music content that they're dancing to?
Right.
And if it's anything that is degrading to my child, there's no way she's dancing there. So I would agree with you in a hot minute. There's plenty of dance places out there across the nation that when you see these competitions, you're thinking, what in the ever-living, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? So I would agree with you. Absolutely.
Nice.
It's part of the grooming process as of a culture.
Right.
To be okay with sexual exploitation, to make it the norm, to make it fine. What's the big deal? Like pornography. What's the big deal?
It's a very big deal. It's a deal that, we're using sex to, how can I put it, educate our kids.
Right.
There's a
We're letting the world educate our kids on sex. Yeah.
And there's a thing in sex education.
Yep.
They took it out of the schools.
Yep.
I don't know why, but I think they should put it back into the schools because the look is what's happening.
Right. But with that being said, the sex education that is being adopted back into schools is not the sex ed that you and I grew up with.
Exactly.
Okay? There's an agenda to it. And it's not one that most people are going to agree with.
Right.
Right? So, again, it starts in the home. You either raise your child or you let the ways of the world raise your child.
There you go. And I'd rather raise my child to the point of knowing what's right Stop listening to media,
Yep.
other people, and think about your life-changing decisions when you do stuff.
Right.
Everything you do in life will change something.
Yeah, it has a consequence.
It has a consequence.
Yep.
You know, I tell my daughter all the time, I said, when you do something, something is going to be a C to you. She said, Dad, what's a C? I said, a SEE, a significant emotional event.
Yep. And it could be good or it could be
good.
bad.
It could be good or it could be bad. But either way it go, whatever that decision that you make,
Yep.
that's what you're going to have to live with.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And when your frontal lobe isn't grown, that's why it's hard. That's why we still parent kids, right?
Yes.
That's why they need us in their life to set those boundaries and tell them right from wrong.
Exactly.
Because the world's going to tell them everything's right.
But knowing that it's wrong.
Right. Exactly. So and that's the we're moving into the month of October, and month of October and November tend to be our hardest months. Because in October, our whole focus is on the spiritual battle of this.
Mm-hmm.
November is our whole focus is on fighting pornography. Mm-hmm. Okay. And those are two really dark places.
Really? I mean, you see it like
right?
Our top people and even our top people that's running the country.
Yeah.
In our military.
Yeah.
In our top businesses are being arrested for pornography.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, I'm spellbound for a split second.
Right.
But then again,
they're human.
Mm-hmm. And we don't know what's going on in their homes, but they're using that as a scapegoat.
Right. It's fulfilling a need.
Right.
Just like drugs do, right? Just like drugs do. It fulfills a need or a gap in your life that you're missing. And that's why we're having an event next Friday night out in Medicine Park on the main stage.
Okay.
And it's an event that we started last year, but it's becoming an annual event. And it's called Stop the Traffic Now, NOW. And NOW stands for Night of Worship. What we do is we have a whole bunch of our musicians here in town come together and do praise and worship. And it's just a night of focusing and praying on every single realm of human trafficking. So, of course, we pray for the survivors and the victims, but guess what? We also have to pray for the pimps. We also have to pray for the buyers. We also have to pray for the laws, right? We have to pray if we're really gonna make it a full circle to make this stop. We have to pray in all realms of that.
In all realms, exactly.
To fight that.
Exactly.
You're welcome to come out to Medicine Park next Friday night and be a part of that. We're going to have hot chocolate and cookies and a whole bunch of other fun stuff out there, but we'll have bands coming up throughout the night. We're going to do some educational pieces. We've got young people singing. We've got old people singing. It's just a really fun night it's a different way that we do our education, you know, in between sets.
Right. Instead of being in a building with PowerPoint and things like that.
Right.
You bring out the norm, you break the norm basically, and you come out and like you said, you do praise and worship, and like you said, to pray for not only the victims and the survivors, but also the ones that are doing it, that they have a change of heart and say, you know what, this is not for me. Right.
And it happens. Man, I've heard the stories of traffickers who've turned their life around.
Nice.
It's amazing. And now they're out there fighting against what they used to do.
Right.
I've heard the buyers turn their lives around. It's possible. It's doable.
It can be done.
Right? It can be done.
It can be done.
So it's going to be fun. It's the first time we're getting to do it outside, and we're super excited about being able to do that, here in the fall. So another event we actually have coming up this Sunday night that is open to the public is St. Paul's United Methodist Church is having us come in and do our youth training for their youth in the church. But it is also open to the public as well, to bring their youth, parents, what have you.
Okay.
And that all those events are on our Facebook page, on our social media that they can check out. But there's a lot of buzz about human trafficking still going around. There's a lot of education out there. Some of it's good, Some of it's bad. And I just want to make clear, like we talked about the highways. Highways don't make or break human trafficking.
No, they don't.
People screaming out on social media, #SaveTheChildren. If you're not putting your hashtag into action, you're not doing anything to help this cause.
Absolutely.
So we're asking people to put your hashtag into motion. Do something about it. Take an education class. Read on it. Go onto the Operation Underground Railroad site. You can be educated in your own home online within 30 minutes. Come to one of our events. Invite us to come speak to your group. Get educated, because a lot of people who are screaming #SaveTheChildren don't have all the facts. They think they do because they've watched the movies.
Right.
But they don't have all the facts.
True.
And so if in order to really fight the crime, you got to know what you're fighting.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So put the hashtags into motion. Is
There
what
you
we're
go.
saying. Whether it's, joining an organization, whether it's donating to an organization, it's calling the hotline, do something.
Do something there, Law Enforcement. Miss Oscar, thank you so very much once again.
Absolutely.
We will see you again. And I'm going to try to get out there next Friday.
Yeah. Oh, I want to mention one more thing.
Go ahead.
Because it just happened yesterday. So Legend Driven, the car dealership here in town, just started a really great event to give back to nonprofits. So what we've been given 150 tickets to sell for $10. You can contact us to buy those tickets. With those tickets, your name goes into a drawing for a brand new car that they're giving away.
Stop it.
Yes.
Legend Driven.
Yes.
Can't even speak on that. Legends Driven is
Yes.
actually giving away a car?
Yes, up to $25,000, brand new car. So a lot of us nonprofits got our tickets yesterday. So Lawton's about to get saturated. But if you buy a ticket from the Red Cord for $10, and you can buy as many tickets as you want, and anyone in the United States can buy these tickets. It's not just here in Lawton. So anyone in the United States can buy these tickets. That money goes directly back to the Red Cord, like instantly.
Oh, that is so awesome.
So Legend Driven has not asked for any part of that money back from those ticket sales. It's completely to help fund these nonprofits. We've been struggling since COVID-19, right?
Exactly.
Just like businesses.
Absolutely.
We
Right.
all have been struggling.
Yes.
And so they wanted to figure out how to give back to our nonprofits here in town so that we can stay afloat. So contact us, buy a $10 ticket, and maybe you'll win a car in December.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
Y'all heard that, Law Enforcement sale for $10. All you have to do is contact a member of the Red Cord organization.
Yep.
Get your tickets. Get it registered. You could be driving a brand new car up to $25,000 from Legends Driven
Yes, sir.
here in Lawton.
Yeah, such a cool thing.
That is so awesome.
Yep.
So, you know me, I'm contacting Oscar and I'm going to go get my ticket. I'm telling you that right now. I can use a
right,
new
and
car.
the more tickets you buy, the better your chances.
There it
right?
is. So I might just buy all of the Oscar tickets. So if you see her with no tickets, it's because the boy X-Man buying it. I need a new car.
Right.
I need a new car. So thank you so very much, Oscar, for
thank
coming
you.
by, stopping by with us, and chatting with us on a very
Absolutely.
touchy subject. And again, this is a subject that hits home. It hits home, and we got to realize what's going on in our community, in our town, in our city, in our state, and even in our nation, though. And
Yep.
I thank you so very much, Oscar.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me every month.
All right, y'all already know what it is. Locked in for a seal. It's your boy DJ X-Man right here with MoMA Media. Thank you.